you're going to be spending the money one way or the other. It's going to be with me to fix it, or it's going to be in the lost revenue that you have because you can't get these conversations that you're having moving forward fast enough.
You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today.
We are with Miss Katie Turner. Ma'am, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. How about you?
I'm ready to go with the questions. You have quite a background, so I'm excited to have our conversation today. So a little bit about Katie. She's a marketing strategy consultant who works with founders who've proven their business through referrals, but needs a little marketing system that scales bigger. She focuses on strategic foundations. Most marketing skips the positioning, the messaging, the differentiation that builds an integrated system that generates predictable results and shortens sales cycles, which is something we all need. Ma'am, are you ready for the questions?
I am ready.
Let's do this. All right. As an entrepreneur, what would you consider to be your first win?
Yeah, so I started my business about 3 years ago, and shortly after that, I started working with my first, I'll call it real client, not a client carried over from my full-time job or whatever. And it was he was a leadership consultant, really great guy, really had a lot of trouble kind of articulating what he did clearly for his target market.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of work on how he, his messaging, his positioning, his differentiation, kind of the whole kind of brand strategy around what he does. And it was great. I mean, it was a great experience for me, doing it for the first time as a consultant. But then also, I think that, he walked away feeling really confident about how he talked about himself. He had the messaging for his website and his sales materials and even his sales conversations to help them move along more quickly. We had created some email campaigns and some other marketing sequences and materials for him. So I think that was it made me feel really good. Like, wow, I take all of this experience that I have working full time in a job as a marketing leader, and then translate it into something that's going to be a really quick, helpful deep dive for a small business owner who needs that help. So that felt really good.
I see this is the trend. This is our new way we're going, is niching down and being very, very specific. Whereas, 10 years ago, we could still be a little more broad and still get our people. Why do you feel that, if I'm right, we're really niching down and hitting very specific audiences with our branding and with our messaging?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people confuse what niching really means, right? Like a lot of people think like, oh, niche down means you have to say, I serve a specific industry or a specific type of persona or whatever. For me, I think it means that you solve a specific type of problem, right? Like, and that problem then defines who your audience is and where you're going to find them and what industry they're likely to be in. But more importantly, niching is not about, cutting away opportunities or losing opportunities. It's about getting better at telling your story. If you niche onto a specific problem, then you start to see patterns within that problem. You start to anticipate what your potential buyers are going to ask you before they ask it. Then that makes you more knowledgeable. They immediately trust you more when they're talking to you, which means that your sales cycles move faster. And then that just continues to snowball. That experience and insight and pattern recognition that you gain just snowballs so that you can attract more clients more easily, faster. You start to become known as the person who solves this specific problem, and it keeps everything connected. Your offer, your how you talk about it, your positioning, who you're going after. Those things are all connected so that your story's really clean. It just makes everything easier.
I do like that. That's great, where you attack the problem as part of your story. That's great. Excellent. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your best habit. What are some of the things you really excel at?
Yeah. So, gosh, I don't know. I think one of the things that I've done recently work-wise, that has been amazing for me is blocking my schedule on Mondays and Fridays so that I have time to really do deep work on both of those days, kind of bookending the week. with no meetings. I mean, unless it's like really urgent or time sensitive, I try to avoid meetings on those days so that I really have like a long, full day of uninterrupted
Mm,
time to
that's
focus,
good.
which has been like, it's, I hesitate to say game changing, but it's really been, I
Yeah.
mean, that may be a little bit extreme, but it's definitely made a big difference in my ability to kind of like get things done without having to like switch back and forth. Like, oh, now I'm in a meeting. Oh, now I'm doing work. Oh, now I'm in a
Yeah.
meeting. Oh, now I'm doing work. And then I think the other thing is just like personally, like I get up, I work out every morning, I try to get outside as much as possible. These are all things that are just good for your general wellness. But yeah.
I think you're talking to me because my day to day is definitely podcast, meeting, podcast. I'm definitely all over the place. I need to
Mhm.
take your advice and change my days. Um, so do you like then time block the rest of your week? How do you decide what things are important and what things you do on a regular basis? Are you like the organized type of person or you look the night before? How do you usually do this? We feel a quick break before we get to that next answer because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing and referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, so I'm organized to a degree, right? I mean, I think
Okay.
that like, yes, I block Mondays and Fridays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays tend to be kind of crazy because there's just so much going on, meetings wise,
Mm-hmm.
networking calls, prospect calls, whatever on those days. So, it does get a little bit back to back. I have my Google Calendar that keeps me organized. I also have my paper like agenda book,
Oh, old
old
school.
school
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
calendar where I write my little to-do lists in for each day. Like, okay, Thursday, I'm targeting getting this done. Friday, I need to do this, to try to keep myself sort of organized and like on task with deadlines and things like that that need to be met. So I
All right,
try,
that's good.
I'm not
Try to
always
do it.
great at it, but somehow it
We
works.
try. The effort's there. Yeah, I hear you. That's
Yeah,
all right.
right.
So, talk to us about the favorite marketing strategy that you're using with your clients that you're like, this is really great. This works a lot. I love sharing this with other people.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that first off, you have to get your messaging clear, crystal clear,
Hmm.
right? You have to know exactly what the foundations are. But then once you have that, then it is about supporting all of that with content and storytelling that's going to help your
Got it.
buyers make better decisions, right? So, 90% of the buying journey right now happens without anybody ever calling you or talking to you, or
It's true.
they might not even be like looking at your website. They're looking at LinkedIn, they're Google searching, they're asking AI for questions, and all of those answers come to them through content. They're going to scope you out on your LinkedIn, see what you're talking about. They might look at your blog or your Substack or whatever. So I'm really trying to help my clients right now with that content creation, which can seem really daunting and overwhelming because it is a lot. But, when you have somebody who is helping extract all of the ideas out of your head, helping shaping them into, clear messaging and content that you can use, helping you repurpose it across multiple channels, that's really the benefit. And then I think also just not overcomplicating it. I mean, I am a big believer in keeping
It's
things
true.
as simple as possible, right? Like you don't need to be doing every single marketing thing or spending time on every single channel. You just need to know this is how people are going to discover me, and that might be things like podcasts or presentations or association meetings or whatever it is that you do. But how are people going to discover me? And then how am I going to engage and nurture them once they're kind of already in my orbit?
It's
And
good.
that's things like your LinkedIn, your blog content. Maybe you have a Substack or something like that where you're pre answering the questions that they're going to ask you anyway. And then how do you convert them? Make it really easy to explain exactly what it is that you do, exactly how you deliver results, what your process looks like not the inside baseball language, but just the very clear step one, step two, step three offer that they understand. I have a colleague of mine who describes it as buyability. You know, you want to be really buyable, and that's what you have to do.
We're going to move it. All right. So that's perfect. So I'm assuming then too, when you get into the video marketing, because I'm sure you coach your folks into do video marketing, because that's the best way to get your brand out there, to get yourself known.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help them with their messaging? Do you sit down and like analyze the words they use? Do you make it like long form, short form? Do you make it horizontal versus like what strategies are you helping them with their specific messaging?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing that I deliver for them is, you know, an internal messaging guide, right? It's sort of the comprehensive single source of truth of how you talk about the business and how you tell the
That's
story of
good.
your business. You know, what do you do? Why do you do it? Why does it matter? What are the capabilities that your customers gain? What is the outcomes? What are, you know, what is the benefit for them? How do you kind of shape all that into a very clear story? And then you know, that literally gets delivered to them as a document. And we go over that and we practice that and we sort of understand how that language works.
Yeah,
It's
that's good.
not, it's never going to be about memorize these 5 talking points, right? Like it is,
Yeah, no, no.
you know, it's just about repeating the same kind of thing, having the same kind of conversation over and over again so that it just becomes second nature, you know, and a lot of that especially for, you know, small agencies, small consultancies and stuff like that. It means stripping away to focus on what it is that you really do best. What do you talk about? That doesn't mean that you can't do everything else. It just means that you don't really talk about it because that just makes you, you know, confusing to your buyer. You're
Yeah.
rambling on and on. Like nobody wants that. So, you know, get down to what you really need to say and understand how your buyers put it into their language. And I help a lot with that too, like just reviewing, helping them review call recordings or what gets said and how the conversations go so that we can identify gaps where maybe there is a misunderstanding between you're saying this, your buyer is asking this question, that question is going unanswered. How do we make that more clear? And then here are sort of the talking points or sound bites that you need to have in the back of your head when you're having these conversations. I mean, I recommend to clients sometimes, you know, look, like take these talking points. These are just quick bullets, right? Of like the vocabulary and the things that you might want to say. Literally put it open on a sidebar when you're having a sales conversation. Don't read from a script, but like just kind of have it there as like a little hint, a little reminder, like say
Yes.
this,
Yep.
ask that, you know?
Yes. That's a great idea. Yeah. So sticky
Yeah.
notes. I always have a sticky
Yeah.
note under my
Right.
camera all the time. And
Right.
these are the things just
Right.
as a reminder. So as you sit down with them, you draw it out of them, you draw the story, you niche that well, not niche down, you solve the problem, you help them with their little bit of video content by having certain phrases and words and things. Now, when it gets to the branding, let's get a little bit deeper. Let's talk about the what exactly do you do? Like, do you ask them certain questions? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a personality test? Like, how do you pull that brand out of them where it's accurate?
Yeah. You know, this is one of the things that I think I'm pretty good at is just asking questions like a
Got
complete
it.
naive person who knows nothing about what you do, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you want to pick out all of the holes and all of the questions and all of the rabbit holes that buyers could go down that they might have objections or
Mm,
misunderstandings or
okay.
misperceptions so that you can clarify all of that. So we spend a lot of time just talking through things and I do try to get people to answer questions like, okay, what is the core problem that you know? What are like say 5 or 6 things that people typically complain about when they first come to you? Like, what are the symptoms that they're complaining about? What is then the root cause of those? And how do you kind of distill that down into 1 or 2 singular problems that you're talking about? And then how do you solve it? You know, what is the capability that you know, that you're giving them through your step 1, step 2, step 3 process, whatever it is? How does that work? Like, how do we really clearly articulate that in a way that your buyers can understand? And then I think most importantly, it's about getting out what your point of view on all of this is, because I work with professional services providers. These are cybersecurity, HR, IT, accountants, you know, leadership coaches, those kinds of people where it's a very crowded space. There's a lot of misunderstanding or preconceived
Yeah.
notions about what these individuals do. There's really not a great way to differentiate. Like one HR person is probably going to do the same stuff that the other HR person does. So the only way that you can stand out is through your particular point of view on the problem. Like, what do you see that's happening in
Mm,
the industry that you agree or disagree with? Like what led you to want to pursue solving the problem in this particular way? It's those individual characteristics about you as a practitioner that are going to make you stand out. It's not that you do it differently, it's just that, or that you have some secret sauce. It's just that you see the problem in a different way.
so that's a wonderful way of doing it. So you're going through the process as if like you're the customer, very naive and don't really know what's going on, and then you kind of just grill the entrepreneur about the way they do it. So even though that's a very human way, and I'm sure you have there's AI involved, and we're going to get to that next. There's a very human approach where like you can't be replaced. You inherently you just ask those questions, I'm sure, and you've just
Yeah, I
done it
mean,
through experience.
I
But
have to know,
yeah,
right? Have those conversations and extract it
yeah,
out of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do the AI. So what are some of your favorite uses of AI, despite the fact that most of what you're doing is very, very human and very hands-on?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do love AI and I use it all the time. I think one of my favorite ways of using it is, I have these conversations with my clients. I'm recording all of those conversations. I'm getting transcripts, and then I'm
That's
using
good.
Claude, usually Claude, sometimes ChatGPT, but usually Claude, to help me analyze what happened in those conversations. Like what did they say? How do we kind of take the patterns of their um, responses in language to understand like what the gaps are, or how we kind of synthesize all of this together into information that they can use. So I think taking
That's good.
long call transcripts and like then questioning the AI, like tell me more about this, or tell me how they explained that, or whatever, or were there questions in there that weren't clearly answered, and also using it to analyze their call transcripts with their
That's good too.
clients, same thing. Or I use it to analyze my own call transcripts with prospects or whatever. Like, what did I not do well here? What did I leave
Mm,
unanswered? What can I extract out of this for potential content that I could use on my LinkedIn or in my emails, and it's great for idea generation around that, because when you're in the moment, like doing the work with the client, you're not focused on the overall pattern recognition at that point. You're focused
that's
on the
good.
specific like thing that you're doing with them. But there are so many amazing gems that might come out of that that you can use in your own content, that then you just, with the help of AI, I get to look at those conversations differently, and then, use them to inform how I market myself.
So when you have the conversations with people, when your client, you have a introductory meeting, you probably have ideas right away, like, hey, we need to do this, we can do this. But then I'm assuming based on that answer that you also grab the conversation. And you're like, hey, listen, give me 3 more days. I'm going to analyze a little more, and I'll come back to you and do another meeting with some more in-depth information. Is that kind of how
Yeah.
you run it? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you spot on, right? It's like you learn what you learn out of the first conversation, and then you have to sit with that for a little bit and know what the next set of questions that you're going to ask to go deeper into it are, or like where you really need to focus. I mean, I do I've been doing this for a little bit of time, so I do come to things like already kind of having some assumptions, but it's about validating those assumptions through the process of conversation and understanding what that particular business is dealing with.
That's really awesome. All right. Before we get to your business, we have one last question, and it's about confidence. A lot of entrepreneurs we bump into, and you and I know, they have an issue sometimes with their confidence. Like they just don't know if they're quite ready yet. They don't know if they're ready to hire you for their services. They're intimidated by budget, intimidated by various things. So, what are some of the things, or what are some of the keys to having the confidence they would need to, get themselves ready for, taking that next step, hiring some coaches, hiring some brand ambassadors? What do you usually tell them?
Yeah, so I mean, I hate to use like scare tactics or whatever with
Yeah. Yeah.
with my clients. I think that when they come to me, they kind of know. to some degree that their messaging and how they talk about the business is what's holding them back. I mean, they can feel it
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
conversations that they're having. They know that people's eyes are glazing over, or that they're struggling to clearly articulate what it is that they do, or that their, content or emails or whatever are not landing the way that they want them to. They're spending a lot of time explaining, their sales cycles are dragging on, good leads are ghosting, all of these things that are symptoms of messaging problems. And the thing is that you can ignore that and try to solve it yourself and just let it keep going, right, in the same pattern, or you can get help. And within a few weeks, like, we can have you in a better position where you feel more confident talking about your business, and you're going to start to get more momentum coming out of these conversations that you're already having. So, yes, and I think that this is true with like any time that anybody needs to invest and help with something. You're going to have to spend
Sure.
money to do that, right? You're going to have to spend the money, you're going to have to make the investment, but you have to decide that it's important to you, and that and believe that this is going to help make a difference for you. And if you're not quite there yet, then I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to try to
Yeah. Yeah.
beat
Nice.
you over the head with it. But I do think that the faster you solve the problem, the easier the rest of your marketing is going to get. So, you're going to be spending the money one way or the other. It's going to be with me to fix it, or it's going to be in the lost revenue that you have because you can't get these conversations that you're having moving forward fast enough.
That is amazing. All right, so we're gonna get to your business now. I love how practical your solutions are. It's very no nonsense. Just get right to the point. It's very human, and it's, hey, I've been doing this for a while. I can help you out if you need help. It's very relaxing conversation. So, if people want to get a hold of you and a little bit more about your business, how would they do that?
Yeah, so you can check out my website, Kate Turner Marketing, kateturnermarketing.com, or you can look me up on LinkedIn, which is also Kate Turner Marketing, or just Katie Turner. Those are the two best ways to reach me. I would say that, if you are feeling like your messaging is what is making your pipeline unpredictable, and you're experiencing some of the symptoms that, that I've kind of talked about in our conversation, good leads ghost, sales conversations take forever, you feel like you're over explaining, you feel like you're answering the same question over and over and over again because it's not really sinking in, your content's not performing well, like all of these things that are kind of related to messaging, then we should talk, because this is the core of it all. You have to have good messaging. Clear messaging is what makes all of your other marketing work.
True.
And so it's not really worth doing other marketing stuff without getting your messaging right. And I would say too, for those of us in the, consulting, agency, small B2B professional services space, marketing is networking. It is presentations and webinars and one-on-one calls and those, like 12 people on the video round robins where you have to do your 10-second elevator pitch. That's all marketing, right? It might
Yeah.
not be what you traditionally think of as marketing because it's not advertising or, flashy digital social media ads or whatever, but it is your marketing. It's your messaging, and you have to get it right.
That's amazing. All right. Also, make sure you check her out on LinkedIn and the website if you just want practical, simple solutions to your business, which she provides. Kate, we appreciate your time and your help today, and check her out.
Yeah, thank you.
And if authentic, practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals.